In our previous tutorial, we showed you all of the steps for making a basic pattern. Now we'll be adding darts, which will really customize the shape of the clothing to be made from this pattern. In this video, we'll show you all the tricks of the trade for getting the best fit for your clothing. To get started, we'll find the middle of the shoulder line we drew in the last video. Since the line was 5.5 inches long, the halfway point will be at 2 3/4 inches. Mark that point with the little dot. Now add 1.5 inches to this and draw another point. Moving on to the bust line, we will divide the measurement for the bust distance in half, which in this case will equal 4 inches. Draw a point to mark that spot as well. Then move down to the waistline and draw the exact same measurement at the point that we just did for the bust. Now from there, go down 5.5 inches and draw a point that aligns vertically with the other two measurements. Again, in our example, the depth will be 4 inches. Now, we will start to draw some darts over the points that we just marked. When drawing the dart, we want to keep in mind that we should never end a dart exactly over the bust line. Instead, we will create a larger surface area for the dart, about 3 inches in diameter, so that the clothing will lie smoothly over the curves of the body and not stick out at any point. So we will go up 1.5 inches from the point that we just drew on the bust line and 1.5 inches down. Draw a dot on both of these points to mark the diameter for the dart. Now, we will connect the point we drew 1.5 inches above the bust to the two dots on the shoulder line, creating a narrow V shape. Moving on to the waistline, we will also create a larger area for the darts. On the point we marked on the waist earlier, we will draw two other points next to it horizontally. Each spot will be 3/4 of an inch away from the center, for a total of 1.5 inches overlapping the waist point. So now we will connect these points we have drawn to create an inverted V above the waistline. For ease of fit, we will extend 1/4 of an inch past the waistline on both sides. We try to avoid sharp points in clothing and smooth out the lines as much as possible, because this is very important to give the proper fit. This is why we have such a large area for the darts. Next, we will go down to the dot we drew 5.5 inches down from the waistline. We will create another V shape here to connect to the points on the waistline. This creates a diamond shape here. Draw a line through the center from the bottom to top point to complete this gather. These are all of the darts necessary for the front of the pattern. Next, we will need to do some final adjustments because we will essentially be losing some of the chest and shoulder measurements. They're now shorter. First, gather the dart area together by carefully folding the shoulder to chest dart over to the other point. Secure this fold with Scotch tape or any other kind of tape that you can easily remove. Now you can see how great this Swedish tracing paper is to work with. Next, we will find the measurement for the shoulder line one more time, since we need to adjust it to the correct measurement after losing some of the length to the dart. Draw diagonally down from the first shoulder point and extend it to a length of 5.5 inches, based on our model's measurements. Now we'll do the same for the chest line. The depth of this line should equal half of the front chest measurement, plus an extra 1/2 inch added for comfort. So in our example, this totals 7 inches, and we will draw that new line over the chest. Now we have the corrected measurements for both the shoulder and the chest, with the darts included. Then we can begin to draw in the correct shape for the armhole opening. Use a French ruler to sketch a curve from the shoulder line to the top point we marked for the bust in the previous video. Go ahead and remove the piece of tape from the gathered area, and now you can see the completed front pattern. If you feel comfortable drawing over these lines, it may be helpful to clearly mark the final lines in a permanent marker or dark pen. This helps to differentiate the final pattern from the previous steps and also makes the pattern easier to see when you want to trace over it later. Now we'll move on to the darts for the back. Basically, we'll just be following the same steps that we used for the front pattern. Again, find the half measurement for the bust distance, then mark this measurement on the bust line, the waistline, and 5.5 inches straight down from the waist. Then we will mark 2 points 1.5 inches over the waistline with 3/4 of an inch on either side of that point. Just like we did on the front pattern, we will also draw 1/4 inch vertical lines over both of those waist points that we just marked. Find the halfway point of the shoulder line and draw that in as well. Now on the back of the pattern, we won't make a gather at the shoulder like we did for the front. Unless a person has an upper back that's very curved or hunched over, it's really not necessary to shape that in the clothing. In those cases, you would need to use that line to make a small gather. So now we will draw a single line coming from the center of the shoulder towards the outer waist point. We need to mark that line because for some types of clothing or jackets, you may want to add a gather or an opening along that line. We will connect it to the other points to create a large diamond shape. This completes the entire pattern. Now you have a go-to pattern that you can use to make skirts, dresses, shirts, jackets, and more. To finish up, just carefully cut out the pattern design from the paper and tape the two halves together at the shoulder. If you see any lines that don't quite match up, don't worry. Just lightly sketch in a straight line to smooth out any unevenness. Then, separate the two sides of the pattern and lay them out flat again. Take a fresh sheet of tracing paper and lay it over the patterns, then carefully trace over the lines and darts with a pen or marker. This creates a clean, easy-to-read blank copy of your pattern that you can keep on hand to adapt for any clothing designs you want to make. For example, if you would like to make a blouse, just trace the pattern from the shoulders to the hips. For a skirt, trace from the waist down, and for a dress, trace over the entire pattern. And now you have made your own basic pattern and can have fun creating your own custom clothing designs. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave us a comment below. To stay updated for future videos, click the link to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching our tutorial, and we'll see you next time.